Hello and welcome back to my channel, or of course, if you're new, welcome. I'm Bree, and I am back again with another video, so it's lit. But like I said in my earlier video, I wanted to do a scary video because I haven't seen one in a really long time, and I found this one by Lazy Masquerade called 3 Scary True Stories from Mexico. And I thought it'd be the perfect video to watch because a couple of my friends, they are currently in Mexico visiting their family / on vacation. So what better time than now to watch a video about Mexico? So let's watch it. Like, hopefully it will freak them out a little bit. No, I'm not gonna do that to them, but yeah. Okay, now I'm scared. South of the border.
Let's Not Meet is one of my favorite subreddits, but I've noticed that most of the stories written here happened in the USA. Here is a little taste of horrors that we lived through south of the border in Mexico. This happened to a friend of my mother's relatives. A family of 4. Arturo, the dad, Maria the mum, Eduardo the son, and Anna, the daughter, who happened to be extremely beautiful. They live in Mexico City, but as is common for upper middle to upper
That's where my friends are right now.
class families, they went to spend a long weekend in Acapulco, a vacation spot that, frankly, has seen better days, as it was overshadowed by Cancun in the 80s. Acapulco had recently been the focus of gang-related warfare, since homegrown gangs refused to cede territory to the powerful Sinaloa cartel. This inconvenience, however, did not completely stop the flow of tourists to this once gorgeous, now decadent port, and did not stop Arturo and his family from going, a decision they would later regret.
Oh gosh, now I'm scared. Oh,
the family was dining in a restaurant next to the sea, enjoying the delicious seafood, when the waiter, clearly nervous, came to the table with a bottle of expensive champagne and a note.
Oh no.
"This is from the gentleman over there," he said, pointing at a table where 4 men sat that you could just tell at first glance were narcos, wearing gold chains, rings and the like, and drinking Johnny Walker Blue Label. Arturo unfolded the note and read, "This is for you to have a toast with your daughter, as this is the last night you will ever see her."
Nuh-uh, stop.
Arturo got up, left 1,000 pesos on the table for the meal, and they went straight back to the hotel where, in terror, they made their bags and prepared to leave immediately.
Yes, I would have, yeah.
Along the way to Mexico City, there are several desolate stretches where all you can see is desert, and perhaps some misshapen little houses and a gas station.
No.
Arturo stopped the car at one of those gas stations to fill up. As he was filling up, 2 cars suddenly pulled into the gas station, one parking in front and one behind the family's car. They'd been followed.
They didn't notice they were
Several
being
men
followed?
exited the vehicles and pointed their AR-15s at the family. They came to honor their word. They came for Anna.
Come on now.
According to Arturo, there are few worse feelings than being powerless as you watch your daughter, screaming and kicking, being dragged into a car, which then speeds away over the horizon, never to be seen again.
That's
Unfortunately,
crazy.
most of these incidents go unreported, since the fear of retaliation is too great.
So, what? Hold on. No. So what? He just let his daughter be abducted and that's it? I mean, I guess there's nothing you can really do, but like... Oh my god. Okay. I'm scared. I should have watched this. Oh goodness.
This happened when I was 18 years old, during the summer before I moved to the US for college. I was living in Mexico City at the time.
Mexico
I
City
spent
just
that
lit,
summer hanging out
huh?
with my friends, partying, drinking, and the like. It was very fun. After one of those nights of heavy drinking, I woke up in my buddy's house at around noon and headed straight out. I had a pounding headache, and the sun's hard rays blurred my vision, dazing me as I got off the bus and walked the few blocks between the bus stop and my house. No one was home, except our maid, Carmen. Maids are a lot more common and cheaper for middle-class families in Mexico. I entered, and I laid down on the first couch I saw. I started drifting off into Morpheus's embrace when I was woken up by the phone ringing. Carmen answered, and about a minute later, came to give me the phone. I could see in her eyes that something was not right.
Oh, goodness.
Her hand was shaking as she handed me the handset. She said, in a very tiny voice, "I think someone has La Señora." "What?" I said, incredulous as I put the phone to my ear.
What?
On the line was a woman, screaming in agony. I couldn't understand what she was saying. She was mostly screaming and crying and something about a finger, and all I could think was, fuck, they've got my mum. The woman's scream stopped, and suddenly a man was on the line, who said in a threateningly calm voice, "We've got your mum. We've already cut off one of her fingers." At this point, my vision became all black with rage and anguish, and I started to lose my grip on reality. Do you guys have any idea how it feels to know that your mother, the woman who's been there for you all your life, is being tortured in some dark room somewhere in the largest city in the world? I hope
And
you
what
never
is he
find
supposed
out.
like?
The man demanded money, and I didn't have any. I frantically searched my parents' bedroom for a hidden stash of cash, anything. The guy kept saying that he would kill her if I didn't have any, and I kept pleading to the man to wait until my father gets home. He has money. At that point, I was in tears, living some of the worst moments of my life, when all of a sudden, I heard the door of the house open, and with unfathomable relief, I heard the sweet, angelic voice of my mother as she yelled at my dad to grab something from the car. I ran downstairs and hugged her so hard.
Whoa, what?
I yelled into the handset, "Chinga tu madre puto," and I hung up. Turns out, I was the victim of a scam that had just become common in Mexico, where people would call random phones and pretend to have kidnapped a family member.
Like,
They asked
what?
you to meet them somewhere immediately and bring cash for a ransom, saying they will kill or keep torturing the victim until you give them what they want. Obviously, not everyone falls for this, but a lot of people like myself get so freaked out and confused that they don't think it through and just end up giving away their cash.
Like, they don't have normal scammers like in America. Like, oh my gosh, you know, you just want a free cruise to the Bahamas or like something dumb like that. What? That is so extra. Wow, I can't. I can't. I can't. This is too much. Too much sauce. The girl on the bus.
My mother grew up in Mexico. She was born in 1963 and only made it to her first year of high school before she could no longer afford to attend.
Aww.
Unlike in the US, you have to pay for your tuition the entire time, not just for college.
That's stupid.
She decided to start working in order to help support her aging father. Now, this was a very rural, little town in Mexico, and my mother didn't have any indoor plumbing or any sort of heating or air, so she certainly didn't have a car. As a result, she ended up having to walk everywhere.
Aww.
Or, if she needed to go to work, take a bus. Oftentimes, when she'd get out late, she'd end up stuck sharing the bus with the nighttime weirdos and pervs.
Yeah.
Now, my mother has always worried about me, being her only daughter. She doesn't like me ever being alone or wearing any sort of revealing clothing. And I always assumed that it was just due to her being an overprotective parent. It wasn't until she told me this story that I fully understood why.
Oh goodness. No.
There was a certain man who
No.
would ride the late night bus who enjoyed bothering young women coming home from work. He'd make lewd comments or even try and grope or harass them.
Ew.
My mother tells me that at this time, there was very little recourse for a harassed woman in an old-fashioned town like this. Men were always right, and if a woman was molested, it was obviously her fault for wearing slutty clothes or hanging out with unmarried men. Stupid, but what could you do?
Okay.
Even if the police weren't corrupt, as they often were, it was a woman's word against a man, and the man would win. So,
That's terrible.
this guy would mess around with the young woman who happened to be riding alone, and usually, they just had to take it. Until one day,
You take
my
these
mother
hands.
watched this creeper go up to a young woman and straight up grab her breast, a big ugly smirk on his face. But, unlike the girls before, she didn't just sit there and take it.
Yes.
She stood up and slapped him in the face, screaming at him not to touch her again, and calling him names, telling him the reason he had to bother women was because he wasn't man enough to find a real girlfriend.
I'm so nervous for what's about to happen.
Everyone on the bus was in awe, and some people even laughed at him. Getting
Yeah, he
hit and
deserved
talked
it.
down to by a woman was shameful for a man, and my mother
Oh,
could see
wow.
his face turning red and purple with
Oh, gosh.
resentment and fury that she'd resisted him. About 2 stops later, the girl got off the bus and began walking down a dark dirt road.
No, no.
This was very late at night, and of course, there were no streetlights at this time. I can remember my mother's breath hitching in her throat as she recalled this part of the story,
I can't. I'm
as
not
if she
ready.
wanted to cry.
I'm not ready.
She told me that she looked at the man's face at that moment and saw the coldest, most hateful fury reflected in his eyes as he watched her get off, and then he got off the bus as well. There was nothing my mother could do as she watched him follow her down the road at a distance, growing smaller and smaller as they both got further away.
Oh my god.
She wanted to do something, but she was just a teenage girl, even younger than the woman. The bus driver would have said it was none of his business, and the police wouldn't have cared, as my mother had no proof that any crime was committed. She couldn't do a thing. She just
That's so
rode the bus to
sad.
her stop and ran to her house when she got there.
Yeah, I would have too.
My mother had never told anyone else this story, and I can remember the look in her eyes as she recounted it to me. They were red and glazed over, as if she was looking at something far beyond me. My mother never saw that woman again.
That's terrible.
Hi guys, Lazy here, and thank you very much for listening. I've never been to Mexico myself, but my brother has, and he says it's absolutely amazing. So if these stories freak you out a bit, don't let them put you off from actually visiting. I'm
They
sure it's a
did.
wonderful place. According to my brother, it is anyway. And I'd really like to check it out myself one day as well. As always, make sure to check out the artwork of Anthony Salinas.
Okay. Just. Oh, wow. Well, okay. Wow. That was intense. Wow. Wow, I wonder if my friends will have any stories for me when they get back. Hopefully not. Hopefully they will just enjoy their time with their family, having fun. I mean, it's not the first time they've been to Mexico, so I'm sure they'll be fine. And won't have any scary stories to tell me when they come back. Hopefully. That was scary. I've never been to Mexico. But I'm sure it's I mean, I want to go to Mexico. Just not be a part of these scary stories. But anyways, if you like this video, leave a like and leave a comment and subscribe. And I will see you guys next time.
Fuck is over, no such thing as trust. Fuck is on my best, no such thing as trust. Hit that bitch in the lungs.